إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ به تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم أرسله الله بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعص الله ورسوله فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا. أما بعد، معاشر المسلمين، أوصيكم ونفسي أولا بتقوى الله عز وجل. أن الله تعالى يقول بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. Now in this khutbah, I want to reflect on some current news items and then to launch into the main subject matter of the khutbah. For those of you who do not know me, I'm your brother Shabir Ali, visiting from Toronto, Canada. I'm here in the city because tomorrow night, inshallah, I will be in a debate in a church not too far from here on the subject of Isa alayhi salam. Is he a prophet of God, as Muslims believe, or is he a son of God, as Christians believe? That will be at the North River Church of Christ tomorrow, starting at 7 o'clock. We will break for the Maghrib prayer, and they have a room for us to offer the Maghrib prayer there tomorrow. So that's about me. As for the events that are happening in the world now, the most compelling news in this part of the world is the news of Hurricane Michael. I wonder if the sound is echoing too harshly from where you are. Is it exactly right? So should I move it back to where it was? Right about there? Good? Oh, back away this way. Okay. How is that? Let's reflect on what is happening with something like Hurricane Michael. On my way here, I was looking up the news on my smartphone, and I see that there is a British newspaper, probably The Guardian, which in the headline says that this is like the mother of all bombs that has been dropped on the southern United States and the Florida Panhandle. And now, as we see, the effects are moving up even into southern Georgia and South Carolina. So it's interesting that they describe it in those terms, the mother of all bombs. We have to reflect on the way things go in the world. And we know that this term was used already in the past. Somebody described their bomb as the mother of all bombs. We have to be aware that what goes around comes around. There is a divine justice. There is a balancing of systems. And oppression and wrongdoing cannot go unanswered for. Either it might be answered for in this life to a certain extent, or it will be definitely answered for in the life hereafter. It is an interesting fact that this hurricane has been named as Hurricane Michael. For those of you who are not aware, the English Michael is the equivalent of Mikael, one of the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is described as an archangel in the Bible. I don't know who came up with this name, but it is, I think, significant that this has been given that particular name. But not to dwell on this too much. We should not just say that something has happened to another people and this is because of their wrongdoing and they deserve this. No, because on the other hand, we can see very clearly that Muslims might be suffering as well. And we know that halfway around the world, our Indonesian brothers and sisters are suffering from, first of all, the tsunami that occurred recently. And if that were not enough, then over the last couple of days as well, they were hit with another disaster which claimed a few lives. So we pray for everyone, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove all of these disasters, and not to afflict any humankind with any disaster. As for those who need guidance, that is what we pray for. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should guide them. Guide them to what is true. Guide them to what is just and what is fair and what is right. And whatever we can do to help them to achieve that guidance, this will be our duty and our responsibility. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us the agents through which others are guided, to make us the instrument for conveying His message to other people. And whatever we can do to help those who are suffering, this is our duty and our responsibility. So help your fellow Americans. Be charitable. If you can go and give your physical time to help in any of the relief or cleanup efforts, this will be the very Muslim thing to do. Indonesia is far away, so if you can help your brothers and sisters abroad by donating and giving your charitable contributions to help relieve their suffering, that will be the Muslim thing to do. And of course, for those who have passed away, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take them as shuhada. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them something better in the life hereafter than what they left in this world. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who have lost their loved ones in such disasters, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should relieve their pain and their grief, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for them to continue from here onwards. As for the main talk today, I only have a few minutes remaining, but that's fine. I don't want to make too many points within these 3 minutes. I want to say in brief that I'm going to speak about CPR. CPR, as you know, stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. But I will make 3 points and tie them each to one of the letters that spell CPR. My main point is that this ummah, the ummah of Muslims, seems to be dead, and we need to become alive again. And to become alive again, we need some CPR. So I would say that the C is for community cohesion. We need cohesion. We need togetherness. We need unity. The unity that is there in community. We're missing that. We need to start with our households. Ask ourselves, is there unity at the household level? The family is a small community. This too is a small ummah. But where is the unity? Is there love and respect between husband and wife? Is there respect between parents and children? Is there unity in the household? Let us take that a step further and ask, is there unity in the local masjid? Now, I don't know anything about your masjid here particularly, so I'm not making any comments about this masjid, but I want you to think. It seems that wherever we go, the Muslims are disunited even in the same masjid. And then there are masjids against each other. So how can we speak about the unity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to achieve if we do not have unity at the family level, at the level of our own masjid, and at the level of inter-masjid harmony? Let us think about that, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold on to the rope of Allah, all of you together, and do not be disunited. So let us be united for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first thing we need if this ummah is going to be awakened, and if it is going to be alive and well and taking care of itself. Be aware that there are many interests out there that will come in to sow disharmony and disunity among Muslims, to get Muslims fighting against each other, dropping bombs on each other, one nation destroying another, so that the job of the enemy is done. If you destroy each other, then who needs the enemy? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us together in unity in our families, in our masajid, and in the world. The second thing we need is the P, and I would say that is for putting the principles into practice. Now, Islam is easy to speak about. Anyone can say, I am a good Muslim. But what are the principles of Islam? And are we putting those principles into practice? We know that there are 5 main pillars of the Islamic faith. Are we putting these pillars into practice? Okay, we said the Shahada, and we have no doubt about that. After the Shahada, there is the Salah, the 5 daily prayers. Are we putting the 5 daily prayers into practice? Or are we so busy with the world that we neglect and we miss the prayers? We have to put that into our schedule as priority number 1. Everything else will come secondary, but I have to get my prayers into place. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us great flexibility. If you're pressed by circumstances, such as, for example, you're traveling, you combine the Zohar and Asr, and you combine the Maghrib and Isha. So what is the 5 times becomes now in effect 3 times. Except in the Hanafi school, which says that you can do a Jummah that is in apparent, a Jummah Zahiri, but not a Jummah Haqiqi, a real Jummah. Which means that they're saying that you cannot shift the prayer from within its own time slot, but you can pray 2 prayers almost side by side by delaying one to the end of its prayer time and advancing the other to the beginning of its prayer time. So for example, with the Zohar and Asr, it will say pray the Zohar at the end of its time, and the Asr at its beginning of its time. In which case, it looks like you have combined, but you haven't combined. In fact, it only appears so. The other schools say that if you're setting off on a journey, and there are hadith that support this, then you can actually pray the Zohar and Asr together at the beginning of the Zohar time. Then you can go on your journey. Now you have many hours until it is Maghrib. And even then, if you didn't reach your destination, you can pray your Maghrib and Isha, combining them within the time of Isha, so that you have even a longer stretch of time. So now you have maximum flexibility. Some scholars say that the Prophet ﷺ on occasion combined the prayers without any apparent reason. And that shows that on occasion, we could actually combine the prayers as well. And you may have some good pressing reasons. For example, if you have an examination, or if you are doing medical surgery, and you cannot just stop the surgery to go and pray. So you have flexibility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a religion that is very practical. And we have to ask ourselves, are we putting the principles into practice? We have no excuse for not putting into practice. And in fact, we should remind ourselves that the principles of Islam are not only about prayer and fasting, but it is also about fairness, justice, and about humanity. And we should ask ourselves, as good Muslims, are we putting those principles into practice? Or is it happening that some people pay so much attention to the prayers, getting them absolutely right down to the finer details of prayer, and then, on the other hand, a man beats his wife, or a man is harming his neighbors, or one is lying and cheating and stealing and saying, I can lie to the others because they are kuffar. That is un-Islamic. If we are to put the principles into practice, it must be such that when somebody looks at the Muslim, the person should say, these Muslims are good people. I don't want to be a Muslim myself because I can't see myself having a beard or putting on hijab or praying 5 times a day. But you know, those Muslims, they are good people. Let that message rub off on the next generation, so that the young people who are growing up in this great country will say, yeah, those Muslims are good people. And it's the next generation that will say, I want to be a Muslim. The older generation may be saying, oh, this thing looks too hard. If I become a Muslim, will I have to start praying in Arabic? Well, the answer is actually you don't have to pray in Arabic. That's how it is traditionally that all Muslims are praying in Arabic. But Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is noted to have said that the Persians could pray in Persian. And he said, in fact, they should pray in Persian even if they know some Arabic. Because when they pray in Persian, their praying will be more meaningful to them. And what they're saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have more meaning for them because it will be in their mother language. There is no prescription that the Prophet ﷺ said, you must pray in Arabic. He said, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray He prayed. People took that to mean that we prayed the exact words that he prayed in the language that he prayed it, but it could have been meant more generally. Pray as you have seen me praying, as you have seen me talking to my Lord in a language that is meaningful to me. You talk to your Lord in a language that is meaningful to you. But it so happens that all we know, we have been taught from childhood. I grew up in an English-speaking country, but I've been taught to say the words in Arabic. And this is a good thing, in that we have been propelled to learn Arabic, which is the language of the Quran, and now we are attached to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in its original language, so that nobody can change that book. Because we all know it in the original language, and then the next stage is for us to even actually learn the language, and then we at least know what we are saying in our prayers. So it has actually helped us. But I'm just saying that it is not a firm rule as people may generally suppose. But you can see that the American people, the present generation, are going to say, man, this thing is too hard. But the next generation might say, oh, let me learn some Arabic at university. And now you have in many of the universities in this great country, Arabic is being taught as a language. And the modern standard Arabic which they are teaching, that is basically the language of the Quran. And that is the language that Muslims have as the standard language of all news broadcasts and newspaper articles throughout the world. And it means as well that when Muslims know this language, and they go to any part of the world, and they pray with their fellow Muslims, they will be praying using the language that they know to be universal, and they're reciting the same book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the same original words which they know to be universal. So now we're not going to be quarreling about whose translation of the Quran is the better one, because now we are all reciting the same prayer in the same language. But enough about putting the principles into practice. I must finish up this khutbah by going to my last point, which is the R of CPR. And for the R, I will say this is reaching out with the message of Islam. Tomorrow, of course, that will be my part in reaching out with the message of Islam, and I would invite you to come out and join me in that debate occasion at the church, to be there, to be present as a Muslim, and to engage with your fellow humans with that message. Because apart from what goes on stage, there will be a lot of discussions going on among persons. But how do we reach out with the message of Islam to others? We don't need only that one occasion. It should be a regular activity. You meet people at work, at school, in your neighborhood. Do you ever give them a message of Islam? Do you ever tell them about Shahada la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah? Do you ever tell them about the oneness of Allah Azza wa Jal? It is related that our Prophet ﷺ said, Ballighu anni walau ayah. Convey from me even if it is one ayah. And you know at least one ayah. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say He is Allah, one. Give the message of the oneness of Allah to others. We haven't been giving the message of Allah to others, but others have been giving a message about us, and it's the wrong message. So we have to be out there conveying the right message. That right message will be conveyed when we put our principles into practice. That itself is a message. When people will say, yeah, I know that Ahmed, he's a good guy. I know that Fatima, she's a good woman. Don't say anything bad about Muslims, because I know the Muslims, and they're good people. Your actions will speak louder than words. That is also a da'wah. But now for my third point about reaching out, I want it to be a deliberate reaching out. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. Let there be among you a group that calls towards what is good. يَدْعُونَ. That's the Arabic word from which we have the masdar da'wah. Da'wah, calling. So we have to give the message. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, ادْعُ إِلَى سَبِيلِ رَبِّكَ بِالْحِكْمَةِ وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ. Invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. And argue with them in a way that is most gracious. So when we meet our Christian friends, we're not there to argue. We're not there to defend them in our to defeat them in argument. We don't want to be defensive. We want to be open, conversational. We want to share information. The problem is not that they are stuck in their ways. The problem is that nobody has reached out to them with the alternative. They already know that there are problems. They already know that the Trinity is confusing. They already know that it makes no sense to say that God sent His Son into the world to die for the sins of humankind. Which father does that? And if God wants to forgive the sins of humankind, shouldn't He just simply forgive humankind, which is what we believe? He says, "O child of Adam, even if your sins are to reach the clouds of the heaven, so long as you ascribe no partner with me, and I will come to you with forgiveness, reaching up to the clouds of heaven." So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafur, He is Rahim. So people already know that there are problems in their faith, but nobody was there to show them the alternative. Show them the alternative. So that's my CPR. This ummah is apparently dead, and we need to wake up. We need cardiopulmonary resuscitation. We need CPR. But the CPR we need is not a physical pumping in our chests, but we need a spiritual reawakening. We need the C, which is community cohesion. We need the P, which is putting the principles into practice. And we need the R, which is reaching out with the message of Islam to all of those who are around us. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ به تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وصلى الله تعالى على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين والملائكة المقربين والخلفاء الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. ربنا لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.